Indonesia is a great country. We are blessed with strong people. Our communities are eminent. Our networks perform the creation concretely. Indonesia Creative Cities Network is here to acknowledge the challenges for materializing progressive and fair Indonesia. Hand in hand, we unify our spirit and determination from more than 200 creative cities communities throughout the country. We are striving for excellence, empowering each other, and waving the diversity to raise the creative ecosystem that lives and enlivens. Embodying compassionate cities that celebrate the diversity in one strong movement, a creative collaboration for our nation.
Hi, I'm Tita, focal point of Bandung City of Design, and this is Indonesia Creative Cities Network team. Together with UNESCO Cities Platform, we are going to hold the Beyond Urban online conference. Looking forward to see you there. See you.
Beyond Urban, a side event in the framework of U20 2022 Road to G20 Summit, a collaboration between UNESCO Cities Platform and Indonesia Creative Cities Network. Creative Cities Network is a hub organization that connects creative communities and initiatives in more than 220 cities and regencies in Indonesia. All ICCN members are committed to implement the 10 principles of Indonesia Creative Cities and the creative economy ecosystem as ICCN frameworks that comply with the Sustainable Development Goal. On UNESCO's celebration of World Cities Day 2021, the UCP launched the Urban Solutions, Adapting Cities for Climate Resilience, with a reflection on the G20 Priorities 2022, Global Health Architecture, Digital Transformation, and Sustainable Energy Transition. UCP and ICCN have developed a new series of urban solutions. Please join us in this 2 days online event that brings the local dimension and cities' contribution to the International Development Forum and agendas. Road to G20, Beyond Urban, on the 28th and 29th of July 2022.
everyone. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're doing well and safe, also in the best condition today. Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're doing well also in the best condition today. I'm pleased to be the host of Beyond Urban Road to G20 Summit. My name is Pinka Rosalinia Natasha, Deputy Secretary of Marketing and Public Communication of the Indonesia Creative Cities Network, or ICCN. And first, I would like to express greetings to Deputy Director General of UNESCO, Mr. Sing Q, Ambassador, Deputy Permanent Delegate of Indonesia to UNESCO, Mr. Ismunandar, Executive Chairperson of the Indonesian National Commission for UNESCO, or KNIU, Ms. Icha Hodijah, Chairman to the Indonesia Creative Cities Network, or ICCN, Mr. Vicky Satari, spokespersons, moderators, and also participants of all sessions on the Plenary 1 Climate Resilience and Action and the Plenary 2 Global Health Architecture today. Beyond Urban Road to G20 Summit is presented by the UNESCO Cities Platform, or UCP, and the Indonesia Creative Cities Network, or ICCN. As we know, the UNESCO Cities Platform works on UNESCO networks and programs for sustainable cities, also towards implementing the Sustainable Development Goals. It includes these 8 programs: UNESCO Creative Cities Network, UNESCO Global Network of Learning Cities, Mega Cities Alliance for Water and Climate, Disaster Risk Reduction and Resilience, International Coalition of Inclusive and Sustainable Cities, World Heritage Cities Program, Media and Information Literacy Cities, UNESCO Net Explorer Observatory Cooperation on Smart Cities, and particularly for today, UNESCO Cities Platform and Indonesia Creative Cities Network are working together to continue raising awareness and discussion related to the climate resilience and action, also global health architecture, on this first day of the road to G20 Summit Beyond Urban. Very well. To deliver opening remarks, first I'm honored to introduce you to the Deputy Director General of UNESCO, Mr. Sing Q. Born in 1956, Mr. Q holds a master's degree and doctorate in political science from the Paris Institute of Political Studies in 1988 and 1992, respectively. Before working on the current position as the Deputy Director General of UNESCO, Mr. Q has served as Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the People's Republic of China to the Kingdom of Belgium since 2014. Mr. Q was president of the China Institute of International Studies at China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs from 2009 to 2014. Prior to which position, he occupied the post of the permanent representative of China to the International Exhibitions Bureau, or BIE, at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of China. With BIE, Mr. Q managed Chinese cooperation and coordinated preparations for the World Expo 2010, Shanghai, China. At the same time, as Deputy Chief of Mission, Mr. Q served as Minister at the Chinese Embassy in France. He was responsible for bilateral affairs and administration of the internal function of the embassy. He also supervised the permanent delegation of the People's Republic of China to UNESCO. Additionally, he lectured in international relations at the China Foreign Affairs University, or CFAU, continuously served as assistant president of CFAU and successfully held the post of Deputy Dean of the Department of Diplomacy of CFAU. As Vice President, Professor, and Doctoral Supervisor at CFAU, he trained young diplomats and was in charge of administering the university's academic and budgetary affairs. Mr. Sinkyu has published plentiful books and articles on China's foreign affairs and international relations. And now he has joined us for Beyond Urban Road to G20 Summit. So please welcome Mr. Sinkyu.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Chair. Dear Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia to UNESCO, dear Chairperson of the Indonesia National Commission for UNESCO, dear Chairperson of the Indonesia Creative Cities Network, dear mayors and city representatives, dear colleagues and friends, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure to be taking part in this event on the sidelines of the Urban 20 Mayors Summit during the lead-up to the G20. I would like to thank the Indonesia Creative Cities Network and the City of Bandung for their close collaboration in organizing these discussions. For today, we are addressing an issue that is as essential as it is urgent: the role cities can play in tackling the world's challenges. Indeed, the past decades have been a time of enormous change for humanity, marked in particular by rapid urbanization. Urban areas are now home to the majority of the world's population. As such, they concentrate the world's issues too. When it comes to the environment, for instance, cities produce an estimated 75% of all global carbon dioxide emissions. As major polluters, cities are where we most need to foster change. The world will not be sustainable until cities are sustainable. Yet, if cities concentrate issues, they also concentrate people, ideas, economic and political power. This makes them hubs for creativity and innovation, where we can bring about real transformations in energy, technology, and society. In other words, cities are a source of solutions which we must bring to the world. This is our goal today. UNESCO has long considered that the solutions developed by cities deserve wider recognition and a better uptake. In heritage and creativity, social inclusion, education, water, and sustainability. Their expertise is necessary to address global challenges, as these challenges are complex and interconnected. For instance, when it comes to tackling climate change, UNESCO's Mega City Alliance for Water and Climate offers valuable insights. But so too does our Creative Cities Network, which includes cities like Bandung and taps into the power of culture and creativity. This transversal approach is the strength of UNESCO's mandate, and to foster it, UNESCO has created a single platform for all its city networks and programs. Through the UNESCO Cities Platform, urban solutions can be promoted, implemented, and combined for the benefit of all. For instance, to mark World Cities Day last year, UNESCO launched a series of urban solutions on climate resilience, and In the wake of this success, we have decided to develop a new set of solutions built around the G20 priorities. Whether they concern global health, the digital transformation, or the sustainable energy transition, these priorities have become all too relevant in recent years, especially in the wake of the COVID-19. They will also guide our discussions today, and I am confident that together we will chart a path for cities to drive sustainable change, a path for the world to follow. Excellencies, dear colleagues, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, Italo Calvino, a great Italian writer, once wrote, "With cities, it is as with dreams. Everything imaginable can be dreamed, but even the most unexpected dream is a rebus that conceals a desire, or its reverse, a fear. Let us build cities not around fear, but around desire. The desire for a more sustainable, more just, and more peaceful world. And let us be confident that what we imagine, what we dream, can be achieved together." Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thank you. Next, I would like to introduce you to the Ambassador Deputy Permanent Delegate of Indonesia to UNESCO, also member of Indonesia Academy of Science, Mr. Ismananda. His previous assignments include Senior Advisor to the Minister of Research and Technology for Sustainable Development of the Republic of Indonesia and Interim Deputy Minister for Research and Development in the 2022 to 2021, Director General of Learning and Student Affairs, the Ministry of Research, Technology and Higher Education in 2018 to 2019, Education and Culture Attaché at Indonesian Embassy in Washington, D.C. in 2015 to 2018, and in Singapore in 2014 to 2015, Director of Regional ASEAN Science Teacher Training Center, more Kitab in Science in 2011 to 2014. Mr. Ismananda finished his bachelor's degree in chemistry at the Bandung Institute of Technology or ITB Indonesia in 1992. Finished his PhD at the School of Chemistry at the University of Sydney, Australia in 1998, and his PhD work was awarded by gold medal from Australian Institute of Nuclear Science and Engineering. His research work is in the crystal structure and properties of materials, especially metal oxides. And now he has joined us for Beyond Urban Road to G20 Summit. So please welcome Mr. Ismananda.
Thank you, Ms. Chairs, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Firstly, Mr. DDG of UNESCO, Mr. Sing Kyu, the Executive Chair of National Commission of Indonesia, distinguished speakers, participants, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to use this important occasion to share some keywords in addition to what Mr. DDG always said, that are frequently discussed in UNESCO in relation with the topics of today's forums. Ladies and gentlemen, many experts say that our world is at a current inflection point. There are many hallmarks of our current historical juncture. widening social and economic inequality, climate change, biodiversity loss, resource use that exceed the planetary capacities, democratic backsliding, and disruptive technological automations. These multiple crises and challenges constrain our individual and collective human rights and have resulted in damage to much of life on Earth. Thus, we can say that currently, we human beings face existential choice to continue on the unsustainable path or radically change the course. To continue on our current path is to accept unconscionable inequality and exploitation, the spiraling of multiple forms of violence, the erosion of social cohesion and human freedom, continued environmental destructions, and dangers and perhaps catastrophic biodiversity loss. So we urgently need to reimagine our future together and take action to realize them. Our historical moment also distinguished by an acceleration of technological transformation of our society, characterized by ongoing digital revolution. Technological innovation have reshaped our way of life and to certain continue doing so. Digital technologies, tools, and platforms can be bent in the direction of supporting human rights, enhancing human capabilities, and facilitating collective action in the direction of peace, justice, and sustainability. To state the obvious, digital literacy and access are the basic right in the 21st century. Without them, it is increasingly difficult to participate civically and economically. But we also see that the current pandemics is we also see that one of the painful realization of the global pandemics is digital divide, gap in the opportunity and outcome between and within nations were augmented. I mention all these problems and challenges only to emphasize that the selected topic of Beyond Urban program, from climate change, global health, digital and energy transition are very relevant, and I believe will contribute significantly to the solutions. At least there are two advantages of these forums. Firstly, cities are today home more than half of world population and 3/4 of economic activity, including large shares of creative economy. With their potential and capacities, cities have crucial role in promoting sustainable development, focus on people, and the respect of human rights. Secondly, as mentioned by the chairs, this forum also brings the local dimensions and cities' contribution to the international development forums and agendas. It is important that in setting common goals and framework for actions, we do more to ensure that all actors comes to the international cooperation table, set their own specific time-bound goals and commitment. The more concrete and locally owned a goal, the more viable it becomes as a target for collective advocacy and accountability, and the more likely the specific owner of the goal will ensure its enactment. In the same times, the complexity of our problems, it is also important that all of us believe that the future of our planet must be locally and democratically envisioned. Because it is only through collective and individual actions that harness our rich diversity of people and cultures, the future what we want can be realized. With all this note, I want to congratulate these forums and hope that all deliberations and discussion will significantly strengthen and contribute to the output of Urban Solution 2020. I thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ismunandar. Continue to the next opening remarks. I would like to introduce you to the Executive Chairperson of the Indonesian National Commission for UNESCO, or KNIU, Ms. Ichi Khadijah, PhD in Teacher Education at Indonesia University of Education, or UPI, Bandung, Indonesia. Her research focused on teacher training and professional development in 2010. Master in English Education from University of Warwick, England in 1993, also English Education major from Institute of Teacher Training and Education, or IKIP, Malang in 1980. In addition to formal education that has been completed, Ms. Khadija also attended various training on education and leadership management in education both at home and abroad. Ms. Khadija currently runs the profession as an independent educator. Her activities include developing teacher training models, providing trainings for teachers, as well as teacher trainers, with more than 39 years of experience in the field of education and teaching English. Ms. Khadija has developed various types of training in the development of teaching materials, teacher competency improvement, and the development of the main curriculum of English, the improvement of the quality of principals and supervisors. The experience of training teachers has been conducted in various parts of Indonesia, including remote and inland areas, as well as some other countries, including the Philippines, Vietnam, Yemen, etc. Ms. Khadija also has the experience of providing training on teaching methodology to volunteers from America who would teach in Indonesia, English Teacher Assistant Program by MNF. Also, in November 2013, as one of the speakers at the ASEAN English Integration Forum in Brunei Darussalam. She is part-time teaching at Uhamka University at undergraduate and postgraduate levels, also UN Sharif Hidayatullah at postgraduate level. She is also a master trainer for core skills, 21st century skills, certified from the British Council, master trainer for TRAIG from ETS, and experience as school director for 2 schools with 300 teachers. Her presentation of thoughts has also been presented at various national and international conferences. Ms. Khadija is one of the members of the Strengthening Character Education team and a member of the National Literacy Movement team. She is also one of the founders of PSPK, or Center for Education and Policy Studies, vice chairman of the KI Jakarta Education Council in 2015 to 2019 period, also member of National Accreditation Board in 2018 to 2022 period. And now she has joined us for Beyond Urban Road to G20 Summit. So please welcome Ms. Ichi Khadijah.
Okay. Your Honorable DDG, Your Honorable Deputy Permanent Delegate, Indonesia Permanent Delegation for UNESCO, Chairman, Indonesia Creative Cities Network, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning for you all in other part of the world, and a very good afternoon for our colleagues in Indonesia. To start my remarks, I want to highlight that the world's population is constantly increasing. To accommodate everyone, we need to build modern, sustainable cities. For all of us to survive and prosper, we need new, intelligent urban planning that creates safe, affordable, and resilient cities with green and culturally inspiring living conditions. This information is baseline on Sustainable Development Goals SDGs, Target 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities. The COVID-19 pandemic has transformed how cities think about their economics and created a new social contract to address deepening urban divides and chart a more inclusive road towards recovery. Cities are aware that the choices and decisions they make today will determine their success in building transition to a greener, more inclusive, and more resilient tomorrow, and that small local businesses and entrepreneurs are critical to forge the path to recovery. Cities play a very large role in achieving global sustainable development because they are hubs for human activities, connecting regions, and increasingly connecting all regions of the world. Cities are places where the economic, social, cultural, and environmental dimension of sustainable development meet and interact. The United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development recognizes and underlines the importance of the local dimensions in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Cities' governments must balance several competing agendas, such as changing microeconomic trends and climate change. At the same time, they also need to ensure that urban neighborhoods and businesses are safe and livable. Climate disaster risks are becoming more frequent and intense, emphasizing the need for a resilient strategy. To improve everyone's safety and quality of life, city institutions and organizations are increasingly encouraged to embrace a resilient approach, which also highlighted the importance of community-based climate solutions. There should be a room that will allow international, national, and local actors to better prioritize and coordinate response communities for tempering impacts, reducing root causes of vulnerabilities, and sustaining political commitment. While these while these are first steps in a long journey, we believe Indonesia is heading in the right direction. By joining the network, cities are committed to sharing best practices and building partnerships involving the public and private sectors as well as civil societies in order to develop partnership in urban development plans, which consist of giving inputs on policy advice, technical assistance, capacity building, and awareness raising community. In closing, I would like to reiterate the importance of connection among global communities to learn and work together in finding the best ways to tackle challenges and other global issues, which in line with the objective in the context of G20 priorities, namely global health architecture, digital transformation, and sustainable energy transition. I wish you all happiness and good health and have a fruitful activities. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Ms. Isya Hodija. Now completing the opening remarks for today, I'm pleased to present the chairman of the Indonesia Creative Cities Network, Mr. Vicky Satari. Tubagus Vicky Cikara Satari, who is fondly called Vicky Satari or Kang Vicky, was born in Bandung, Indonesia, and he is currently the special staff of the Minister of Cooperatives and SMEs for Creative Economy Empowerment, Commissioner of PT Angkasa Pura II Persero, as well as serving as the General Chair of the Indonesia Creative Cities Network. He is also a lecturer at the Faculty of Economics and Business at Pajajaran University, Bandung, Indonesia. Vicky Satari started his career in the creative economy by establishing our Plain System Clothing, which was one of the first clothing distributions in Bandung in 1998, and this step became one of the foundations of his portfolio and initiating and becoming the first chairman of the Creative Independent Clothing Community, an event that was very prestigious and it's time for clothing activists in Indonesia. His experience in organizing was forged in the Karang Taruna Qatar Bandung City also. Kang Vicky even chaired Qatar Bandung City along the 2014 to 2019 period. Unmitigated, Kang Vicky was trusted to be the chairman of the Bandung Creative City Forum, or BCCF, in 2013, after previously led by Ridwan Kamil. In this forum that accommodates various actors from across the creative economy subsectors, Kang Vicky has the opportunity to strengthen the network of creative potentials and creative actors, not only in Bandung but throughout Indonesia. That moment also made Kang Vicky one of the architects of the birth of the Indonesia Creative Cities Network, or ICCN, as a forum for networking across creative economy communities from cities or agencies throughout Indonesia. In 2017, after serving as the chairman of BCCF in Bandung, Indonesia, Kang Vicky was immediately trusted to assume the position of the chairman of ICCN. Currently, the ICCN network has grown to more than 210 cities or agencies throughout Indonesia and actively plays a role in the development of creative cities or agencies in Indonesia with the spirit of synergy. This allows ICCN to be connected and moderating the hexahelix connectivity across stakeholders, including academia, business actors, communities, government, media, and aggregators such as financial institutions and others. ICCN also plays an active role in encouraging Indonesian cities and agencies to explore the strengths, uniqueness, and identity of the creative economy from each region through 11 programs for creative cities or agencies called Chata Ekadasa. Kang Vicky's work in the development of the creative economy has led him to be appointed as the special staff of the Minister of Cooperatives and SMEs for Creative Economy Empowerment since 2019. Until this year, Kang Vicky was also inducted into the Board of Trustees of the Indonesia Wellness Institute. And now he has joined us for Beyond Urban Road to G20 Summit. So please welcome Kang Vicky Satari.
Ya, thank you Vinka. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Your Excellency Deputy General, Deputy Director General of UNESCO, Excellency Ambassador or Permanent Delegate Indonesia to UNESCO, Excellency Executive Chairperson of Indonesia National Commission for UNESCO, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. It is such an honor for ICCN, Indonesia Creative Cities Network, to collaborate with UNESCO Cities Platform in holding Beyond Urban, a Road to G20 Summit webinar. The Indonesia G20 Presidency 2022 provides a valuable momentum for us to define our priorities, particularly in facing various disruptions, health, digital, energy, where our collective and conscious choices will actually create significant impact. I'm convinced that we have a similar notion regarding the roles and potential of cities and citizens in creating concrete changes towards an inclusive and sustainable future. Next slide, please. This is what ICCN is made of. We have been gathering city-scale initiatives and communities, local leaders that are change makers in their respective regions, who are aware that the future no longer relies only on the economy of extraction of natural resources, but on the economy of intersecting of human intelligence and creativity. Next slide, please. ICCN members from more than 220 cities and regencies in Indonesia are all committed to the 10 principles of Indonesia Creative Cities that we formulated in 2015. The keywords comply with the SDGs, and we put forward not only the aspect of creativity and economy, but mostly compassion, solidarity, inclusivity, even renewable energy and sustainable environment. Next slide, please. We also provide Chata Ekadasa, as we call it, or the 11 ways towards the 10 principles, where each city or agency can choose one or more ways that best suit in its conditions. All ICCN members cities, through their community representatives, have been implementing these frameworks according to their own custom and characteristics. In this occasion, we are happy to share a few of them, particularly the ones that create positive impacts regarding the issues of climate change. Next slide, please. On behalf of ICCN and also personally, I would like to sincerely thank all parties who have been engaging and collaborating to make this event possible, especially to UNESCO Cities Platform, whose urban solution have become the basis for the output of Beyond Urban, G20 Urban Solution, a compass that will help us navigate the course of our contribution as active citizens. Thank you very much.
Very well, thank you very much, Kang Vicky Satari, the chairman of the Indonesia Creative Cities Network. And also, once again, thank you very much for joining us. Beyond Urban Road to G20 Summit is a side event in the framework of U20 2022 and presented by the UNESCO Cities Platform, also Indonesia Creative Cities Network, or ICCN. Today, we will have two plenaries. On the plenary one, we will follow the presentation and discussion together with the spokespersons from the UNESCO Creative Cities Network, or UCCN, the City of Saint Etienne, the Indonesia Creative Cities Network, and the Sound of Green Project. Later on the plenary two, we'll follow the presentation and discussion together with the International Coalition of Inclusive and Sustainable Cities, the City of Gwangju, the Megacities Alliance for Water and Climate, the Greater Paris Sanitary Authority, the Indonesia Wellness Institute, and Samsara Living Museum Karangasem, Bali. And now for leading the plenary one, I would like to give the stage and space to my colleague, Ms. Laura Prinsloo, focal point of Jakarta, UNESCO Creative City of Literature. And now she has joined us here for Beyond Urban, Road to G20 Summit. So please welcome Ms. Laura Prinsloo.
Thank you very much, Vinka. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Apa kabar? I would like to welcome you all to the first plenary session on climate resilience and action. My name is Laura Prinsloo, focal point for Jakarta UNESCO City of Literature. I am greatly honored to have this opportunity to chair this plenary. The objective of this plenary is to raise the awareness concerning climate resilience and sharing best and concrete practices of urban solutions these cities have done. The solutions that will allow all international, national, and local actors to better prioritize and coordinate short and long-term responses to climate change and determine where collaborations will produce the most powerful and profound results. Here with me today are four eminent speakers. We have Ms. Denise Bax, is the Chief of Communication, Cities and Events Unit within the Culture Sector of UNESCO, where she heads the coordination of the UNESCO Creative Cities Network, or UCCN, and the UNESCO Cities Platform, or UCP. The second speaker is Ms. Isabel Verlac. She is the head of International Affairs and Innovation, the president of BEDA, the Bureau of European Design Association, and also the focal point of Song and Ating UNESCO City of Design. Our third speaker is Ms. Tita Larasati. She is the Deputy of Strategic Partnership of Indonesia Creative Cities Network and the focal point for Bandung UNESCO City of Design. And our fourth speaker is Mr. Ronnie Lopez, the focal point for Ambon UNESCO City of Music and director of the Ambon Music Office. So following that order, I would like to welcome all four speakers to have the floor and present their perspectives.
Honorable Ambassador Mr. Ismunandar, Ambassador and alternate permanent delegate of Indonesia to UNESCO, Honorable Ms. Ice Kodijat, Executive Chairperson of Indonesia National Commission for UNESCO, dear Mr. Chin Chu, Deputy Director General of UNESCO, dear participants, dear colleagues and friends. My name is Denise Bax, Head of Communications, Cities and Events Unit in the culture sector at UNESCO. I am also Secretary of the UNESCO Creative Cities Network. The Secretariat of the UNESCO Creative Cities Network also ensures the coordination of the UNESCO Cities Platform. First of all, allow me to thank our partners, Indonesia Creative Cities Network and the City of Bandung, for their dedication and collaboration to make this event possible. Today, we all gather here online to advance our common goal of building resilient and sustainable cities, particularly in the face of climate change. The UNESCO Creative Cities Network was created in 2004 with the aim of promoting cooperation with and among cities that have identified creativity and innovation as key drivers for a more sustainable and inclusive urban development. To date, the network has almost 300 member cities worldwide across 7 creative fields, namely crafts and folk art, design, film, gastronomy, literature, media arts, and music. These different creative fields are indeed an enabler for holistic development visions and plans. UNESCO aspires to provide its creative cities with the opportunity to work and learn from each other through the sharing of knowledge, experiences, and good practices. I believe all of us agree that climate change is one of the most pressing contemporary issues of our time. This event is an opportune occasion to highlight the potential of cities and their inhabitants in the pursuit of building climate resilience by leveraging the power of culture and creativity. Economic and social activities in cities are often contributing to climate change. Meanwhile, cities are a hub of tremendous resources, talents, and innovation. As such, they are the most effective places where we can nurture climate solutions and undertake impactable actions. Furthermore, cities are also key actors in invigorating the power of culture for positive social transformation. Allow me to present a number of successful initiatives from UNESCO Creative Cities that illustrate how they build climate resilience through collective actions by means of culture and creativity. Through the Lodz Film Fund, the initiative Green Filming Lodz, a UNESCO Creative City of Film in Poland, promotes the conscious creation of audiovisual works. The initiatives aimed to minimize the harmful environment impact of particular production areas such as transport and catering, integrating positive environmental actions in the art of film. Alba in Italy, a UNESCO Creative City of Gastronomy, initiated its first outdoor education park for children. The park aspires to actively introduce children to the natural cycle of the products they eat on a daily basis. Based on local culinary culture, this initiative demonstrates the feasibility of sustainable management of the energy needed to produce those products. It also guides the children through the process of creating their own friendly balcony gardens. Meanwhile, still in Italy, Pesaro, a UNESCO Creative City of Film, through its project Fragments of Extinction, created a deep listening theater for sensorial and cognitive experiences of ecosystems and a dedicated music entitled Sonosphere. Aimed at raising awareness of the ecological paradigm shift and transition, this initiative highlights the sound heritage of ecosystems studies which propose the soundscapes of equatorial primary forests. Climate-related issues are not only scientific, but also social and cultural. Culture propels us to move beyond the scientific and rational debate to address climate change and build interest, engagement, and action at the different levels. It also creates vibrancy in environmental dialogues, steers consumption and production patterns into a more favorable path to mitigate climate change and deliver creative climate actions. Climate change has a deep impact on all development aspects and affects each of us. Indeed, like many other contemporary challenges, it is multidimensional and interconnected with other development issues. Therefore, transversal approaches and solutions are essential to build climate resilience. UNESCO has been a steady advocate for transversal approaches to responding to these challenges, especially at the local level. In 2019, the organization brought together its 8 city-centered or related programs and networks to establish the UNESCO Cities Platform, UCP. On the occasion of World Cities Day 2021, the UCP launched a set of pragmatic urban solutions which targeted both city policymakers and inhabitants. Not only have the urban solutions given rise to this collaboration event, Road to G20, Beyond Urban, but they also underline the importance of us working together and transversally towards a more resilient and sustainable urban future. I am convinced that this conference will further nurture comprehensive and transversal approaches to sustainable development in cities, this time building on the priorities of G20 2022. I look forward to our meaningful exchanges and discussions across different urban fields today and tomorrow, which will definitely render some impactful results in our common pursuit of climate resilience and action. Thank you for your attention.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon. I hope that you could hear me. Okay, so I'm Isabelle Verriac. I'm the head of international affairs at the Cité du Design and the BEDA president. BEDA is the Bureau of European Design Association and also the focal point for Saint-Étienne. If you could share my presentation, please, I would like to follow the slides. Thank you. So thank you, dear all, dear deputy, dear guests. I would like to thank you first, the organization, the ICCN and the UNESCO Creative Platform for this invitation to share with you an example of a urban solution. So Saint-Étienne is a UNESCO Creative City of Design since 2010. And Cité du Design is the expert in design who build the proposal to become a UNESCO City of Design. So in the Cité du Design, there are 3 activities. First of all, a school with the Saint-Étienne Higher School of Art and Design. Secondly, the exhibition with the Biennale Internationale Design Saint-Étienne and also permanent exhibition in these places. And the third activity is to support the companies and the public sectors to work with designers to innovate through design. Next slide, please. So in Europe, there are European call like Horizon Europe, Creative Europe, Erasmus+, in order to help the actors for collaborative action. So we have made a proposal on this type of European call, Horizon Europe, specially dedicated to the new European Bauhaus initiative. The new European Bauhaus initiative, if you don't know, it's a special action launched by the President of the European Commission herself, Ursula von der Leyen, at the end of 2019. The idea is to push all the stakeholders to work together in order to fulfill 3 axes of the sustainability, aesthetics and inclusion. And she said that if the Green Deal has a soul, it will be the new European Bauhaus. So since the beginning, as BEDA, we are an official partner of this new European Bauhaus initiative, and now Cité du Design itself is also an official partner. So this call is a research call focused on architecture, design and art. And for the first time, it's open to cultural and creative actors in order to have a greener and a fairer way of life. So here you could see our places at the Cité du Design and the school. So it's a former arm factory, so heritage places. So, and our purpose is to capitalize on heritage in order to build the future. Next slide, please. So our proposal to answer the challenges of the climate change is to discuss about the mobility, because the mobility is one of the main causes of the climate change. And we are thinking that our cities are the well place, the well laboratory to change this situation, working with multidisciplinary teams, including the school, including the designers, the companies, the city representative, and also for sure the main important, the citizen. So we have started to work on this topic of the future of the mobility since 2019 with some UNESCO City of Design, Detroit, Puebla, Geelong, Torino, Graz and Kortrijk. In the preparation of the Biennale of this year on the topic of the bifurcation, one exhibition is focused on automotive and the role of the history of the automotive and the future of the mobility. All these cities that I have just named have a strong history and a strong experience or real challenges with the mobility. So we have decided to work all together, sharing first our experience in order to build tomorrow some models, some reference for the other cities. Next slide, please. So even with the COVID, we have made a workshop online first in order to share this experience and the best practice of each cities, coming from the designers or the companies. As soon as we have we have made a real workshop. So we have made workshop in Kortrijk, in Torino, in Dubai also. And the methodology is each time to study a real place of the city, of one city. For example, in Kortrijk, it was the removing of some parkings, and to discuss with the experience of the other cities what they could do with these places instead of parking, because the challenge is to have less car inside the city and to find more sustainable way to move. So this is an example that we have done, and we have started to build this common and collaborative project all together. Next slide, please. So we have, with our own funding, we have made an exhibition in order to show this idea and to show the power of the cities to change the situation and the power of the collaboration. And thanks to the UNESCO, first we are working only with the UNESCO City of Design, but I take the opportunity of this conference also to launch a call to all the other cities, creative city, to join our forces. And we have made a common exhibition, and this exhibition was at the Biennale in Saint-Étienne, but also in Detroit, for the Detroit Design Week, in Torino, in Kortrijk, and also in Dubai, as you could see here. And we have the pleasure to have a special speech inside the World Expo 2020 about this topic and this project. Next slide, please. So here you could see what we have made, build to answer this call of Horizon. You could see it's already a big group of partners. The idea with this European call is to have European partners as a core partners, but to open the experimentation to the other cities. So you could see we will be very happy that already Detroit, Istanbul, Kaunas, Kolding, Montreal, Querétaro, Shenzhen, Singapore have said that they are ready to experience what we could made in our city, in their city. So I hope that following this presentation, some others of you would like to join us. The idea is, as I said, to use the city as laboratory, as demonstrator. So each of us has proposed a special demonstration, experimentation linked to is a city. For example, in Saint-Étienne, our main action is the project Cité du Design 2025. This is the transformation of these heritage places that you have seen just before. Where is the Cité du Design, which is the quartier, the district of the creative district for tomorrow. So we have proposed an experimentation inside this district to rethink the mobility and to connect this area with the other part of the city, working with the expertise of the other city. And then each city has its own demonstrator and cross with the other cities. The other idea and strong idea is to collaborate with the schools, the higher schools of art, of design, of architecture for this school, but it could be others, because we are thinking that the youth are have the power to change the world tomorrow, because they have the vision. So it's really important to include the youth, and it's also a way to teach and to upskill and reskill the other, so the designers, the companies, and also the public sectors. So next slide, please. So first of all, as you have seen, we are very proud to have the support of the UNESCO General Secretary, and thank you for that. Here you could see all the stakeholders, and the role of the network is crucial in order to help us to connect our project very quickly. So it's why UNESCO and all the other network, like the network that you have with the creative city in Indonesia, is really important to build and to have action, and if we would like to be efficient and relevant. Next slide, please. So this call is really focused on research experimentation. As I said, the idea is to work on design learning for collaborative innovation, experimentation, and then create guidelines for cities, policymakers. Because if we have a lot of innovative products, services, if we don't have the organization which could allow this, it's not possible. So it's why the city and the policy maker needs to be part of the action since the beginning with all the citizens. And we hope that we could disseminate this experimentation and these guidelines to the other cities in order to go further, because we need to do this very quickly if we would like to tackle the challenge of the Green Deal. Next slide, please. So this is the main message that I would like to share with you today, is that is working together with the students, with the citizens, and with the policymaker, that we could achieve and test urban solution in order to solve, and even if it's a small action that we could make in our city, if all of us made a small action, all together, we could have a real impact on the climate change. So please feel free to join us, and thank you for your attention. I will be happy to answer questions after. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone from my part of the world, and good morning for everyone else who's joining us from the other side of the world. My name is Tita. I'm now here on behalf of ICCN. I'm the Deputy of Strategic Partnership, but I'm also the focal point of Bandung City of Design. If you can have my slide on, please, then I'll speak according to that. So, yeah, this is the city of Bandung that I use as an example, but next slide, please. But as our chairman before mentioned, that actually ICCN works within this framework, because our members come from 200 and something cities and regencies, all with different kind of characteristics, potentials, and so on. So at least we have a tool that we can work with if we are going to interfere with our city or our region. So at the first, we have the creative economy ecosystem. So for us, creative economy is not only about the trading or the transaction of arts or creative works or culture, but it also has to do with the nurturing of the creators, the human beings, educations, and then the products, marketplace appreciations, and all, and especially the R&D part. And we also work with the hexahelix stakeholders, so with governments, with business sectors, and so on. ICCN is form of communities, so we are detached from the government. We are not directly connected within their structure, but we are becoming their partner in developing the city in within the creative economy context. And this is the chart you've seen before, the Sustainable Development Goals, but then we have our keywords for 10 principles of creative city, and all members of ICCN are committed to comply with these keywords. So for us, creative city, creative potential in a city doesn't always mean always entertainment or um, things that are has to do directly with the creativity, but also with how creativity can contribute to the development of the region itself. And within this big framework, all cities and regencies within ICCN are free to implement according to their needs. Next slide, please. As the city of Bandung, as an example, this is actually the on the left, the circles there. This is the formula that we submitted to UCCN when we apply to join the network. So we realized that Bandung City, it is a very urban area, and our main potential is the people, the place, and the ideas. So we work around that because the intersection of these potentials produce, for example, a built environment, but then always with business potential. And if we have communities, it's always active and it's always entrepreneurial. And another intersection is if we have innovation, it's always social innovation, then also with economic value. But we also see, as Isabel said before, that small changes need to be made. You can start small, but then with a big impact. So if you do it consistently, if you do it repeatedly, it's like an acupuncture. You have the needle of creativity that you pin in a part of the city or the body, because the city is no different than a human being. It's also an organic being with its own channel to distribute energy, to distribute food, and then to throw garbage and so on. So if we see the city as an organic entity, then we also see creativity as a needle that you can put in a part that is ailing. But if you do it repeatedly, although small, and if you do it correctly, then the body will heal one at a time. So concerning the climate change and the issue of environments and so on, if you work with the local people, we don't right away mention about the climate change and so on, because the terms are not too familiar. So next slide, please. Usually we do the urban acupuncture with the design thinking concept in real. So design thinking means that in the end you have the prototypes that you try, maybe for a weekend, maybe for a month, but then people can right away experience how it is to here, for example, people can experience how it is to have a bicycle sharing unit, or how is it to have a clean river, or how is it to have a park that is well kept and not dangerous and so on, very friendly. And these are done by communities from the bottom up to give not only a picture but also an experience and a real experience to the local people, and government can see themselves how if we make this permanent. So not only for like a pop-up thing, but then if you do it continuously, because prototypes of urban solutions can come in public space intervention. Next, please. Just another example. This is also urban solutions for example, social experiments where we make our public transport more friendly, and we also interfere with our urban forest and how to make it a place for expression and interaction, and also small kampungs or villages within the city. Next, please. Another prototype is also wider. This in this case, we are working with landmarks, wider landmarks, but within the examples that we also interfere with local production area, for example, because Bandung as a design city is famous for its manufacturing and fashion products, and these are the one of the examples that we do. Next, please. And later we work less on the physical side, but we work more on the people. So here, design action we do every year, where the government also has to attend the design thinking workshop along with the communities and other parties, so we can find a solution right away. And I think I have presented this in UNESCO Creative Cities Network annual conference in 2017. So as one of the examples of SDG number 11 that works. So we try to make this work. In fact, during the pandemic as well, except last year. So we keep doing this to get quick intervention from public and all stakeholders. Next, please. And other capacity building is we do it with students and also young people, because 70% of Bandung citizens are below 40, and Bandung has about 120 universities. So we always have these young people roaming around and making their own place in the city. So we want to also direct them to also recognize other parts of the city that might be a bit neglected, like the a dense urban area. So we create urban games and many things that make the young people involved with the local problems and so on. Next. So, so what do we do with all these examples and all? The important thing is this is not only happening in Bandung, but also in other cities who are ICCN members. And we are taking these examples, taking the essence of what they do, and then communicating it to the public through our books. We have this white book of creative city, and then we turn our concept into, we adjust it to the Indonesian government's KPI. So they also have to, or they are urged to implement the creative economy according to our principles as well, if they want to perform better for the city. And we also contribute to the writings of policy recommendations, and we also join exhibitions and competitions and this kind of awards. And then with that, we can share our ideas and our tools to other cities as well. I think that's all from me. Last slide, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me to this event. My name is Ronnie Lopez. I'm a focal point of Ambon UNESCO City of Music, also a director of Ambon Music Office. Please view my slide. Okay, Ambon is a very small city located in eastern part of Indonesia. Has 400 people there, and we have focus only in music to develop the city. Next slide, please. So the island has an area 43 square kilometer. Ambon Island consists of two territories, the city of Ambon to the south and various districts we call the Kecamatan of the Central Maluku Regency to the north. And then generally Ambon has a ecosystem, a fragile ecosystem. It's why that we must try hard to connect with music, with the environment. Next slide, please. So music for Ambon people seems to have been the pulse of the movement of a city known as the Ambon Manise, because of musical intuition, which is outwardly embedded in the Ambonese blood and pulse. Then came the expression Ambonese from the stomach can sing or hum. Ambonese also have then music where we know that DNA is a genetic carrier network in a living organism. Ambonese music genre is a traditional and pop music. So the main problem for Ambonese, because we have a small island ecosystem, so many influence the culture and existence of the life of Ambonese. I think this is the main problem of small city Ambon. Next slide, please. So we have 7 inequality when we try to analyze the condition of Ambon. We have inequality in economy, environment, social, cultural, political, spatial inequality, and also education inequality. So we try to focus for environment inequality. So I just come back from Santos, and Santos we try to explain also about the environment inequality. Next slide, please. This is the picture of the condition of Ambon. The amount of poor people is still increased. Also, the employed people in Ambon still increase. Next slide. So if we compare to the coefficient of Gini ratio in Ambon City of Music with the national Gini ratio, we can show that so very high coefficient Gini ratio of Ambon City. It means that we have a very many gap or an equality with rich men and poor men. The next slide, please. So we try to make a solution by music. So we have a main program. We call that the Sound of Green. This is also connected PT to the goals number 10 of SDGs. So I said the Sound of Green is the collaboration of culture, innovative, and creativities in a small island. Next slide, please. This is the scheme or graphic of conceptual framework of CIC. We collaborate of a Sound of Green program. So the main program we call the Sound of Green, and the basic for supporting the Sound of Green, we have the basic for music tourism and forest city. So in the music tourism, we try to make a intercept between music and education with health, literature, culinary, performing arts, also about the infrastructure in the city. It means that in music tourism, we try to change from conventional tourism to alternative tourism. So we call that music tourism. And the other hand, we have the basic for support Sound of Green. We call a forest city. I think it's very important to connect it with climate resilience, and also how to reduce emission carbon by forest city. But the program must be supporting the top of the city to develop is a creative city. Next slide, please. So this is the actors of creative economy or creative actors in Ambon. This is we done with the ICCN also with Kemenparekraf. This is the survey result show that many of actors of economy creative in Ambon consist of musicians and singers. Next slide, please. So that I just described before that for innovation, we try to change conventional tourism to alternative tourism. We call it music tourism. The concept of music tourism can answer sustainable tourism for social, economic, environment, and culture. So we have connected with SDGs for goals number 8, recent work and how to increase economic growth of a community or society and music tourism location. Next slide, please. So we also make an analysis for the production of carbon in Ambon City of Music, compare with the vegetation area. So this picture show that we have the increase of carbon caused by human and also by mobile, by motorcycle and so on. So it means that we must try to increase the vegetation area in Ambon City of Music. So Sound of Green may be one best solution for that. So it is connected also with the SDGs number 13 and 15. Next slide, please. So the impact of SDGs goals 11 toward SDGs of Ambon City of Music through SOG program to all peoples can be shown here that we have 11 SDGs number 11 for the peak of the sound of a green process. So we try to connected music tourism with some goals here and also for cities. So that means we try in several years to answer problem to connect it with SDGs. Next slide, please. This is a music tourism attraction map in Ambon City of Music. This is the locate to focus music tourism in there. We have only 10 attraction of music tourism. Is the locus of music tourism in Ambon City. So it's mean also to prove the achievement of SDGs goals number 10 will be able to overcome various and equality, especially for environmental and equality. Next slide, please. These are some activities and 10 attraction of music tourism. We have a music workshop, we have a composer, we have a children play music. We have also the impact of music for the environment with the children try to make a rehabilitation of forest, yeah, and so on. Next slide, please. We have also some event in Ambon due to the Bamboo International music event. So that means we try to make some combination with music and environment in our show, in our event. Next slide, please. So we have also the international event in a sub-village we call in Ambon is Dusun. We try to make a collaboration with international musicians, like the picture from Holland, and then they collaborate with some children from 10 school of pilot project of music tourism. Next slide, please. So this is the map of 10 schools implementing compulsory music curriculum in Ambon City of Music. That we try to make an overlay between music tourism and education, but only in 10 schools as a pilot project. Next slide, please. This is some activities in the 10 school. We have music traditional. We have a society or community make a instrument of music. So from this we can try to calculate how many economic creative impact to the community and our locus or our location and music tourism. Next slide. This is a monitoring and evaluation activities to implementation of music curriculum on 10 music tourism attraction and Ambon City. We have FGD, we have also how to train music, how to make collaborating music with science. So music can also have collaboration with science. Next slide, please. So this is some activities of children, youth, and adults conserve the environment. They start from school until to the community. I mean, for a musical community. So they try to make afforestation, also restoration of environment, especially for answering climate resilience. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, our four speakers, for the great presentation. I'm sure this short, limited time doesn't give justice to what your cities have accomplished. I mean, I personally was very amazed to what you have done. Denise mentioned about Alba, City of Gastronomy with the Children Park. And then in Saint Atin, there's a focusing on how to capitalize on the from the heritage to build the future and involving the youth, and Bandung on the people, place, ideas, Ambon with the sounds of green. It's all exciting. I would like to open the floor for further discussions and questions. Audience can use the chat box if you have any questions. As we all know, cities are the main contributors to climate change, as urban activities are the leading source of ecological footprints. But at the same time, cities are the key drivers of innovation and incubators of the cultural and creative economy. So, to start this dialogue, I want to ask Ms. Denise Bax from UNESCO. We know that UNESCO commits to addressing the issue of climate change through policy advice, technical assistance, capacity building, and awareness raising. But from the cultural and creative industries, what are the unique contributions in comparison to other industries in addressing climate change that you can think of?
So thank you very much for the question. And I would like briefly to approach this question through three different angles. The first one is culture and creative economy have a unique power to gather, to assemble people around a common cause. And they can communicate the urgency of the global climate challenge, and as such, stimulate engagement and mobilize all stakeholders to take action. Secondly, cultural and creative sectors must integrate the environmental dimension into their production, distribution, and consumption pattern. Encouraging environmentally responsible behavior of all stakeholders, from government, cultural professionals, creators, consumers, like you and me. And as I mentioned earlier on in my presentation concerning the green filming initiative by the Lodz City, which set a very good example for other cities. Moreover, cultural and creativity are also enable to reinforce our climate action, such as establishing incentive mechanisms for the sector and professional. And allow me here to mention the urban solutions prompted by UNESCO on the occasion of the World Cities Day 2021, and also mentioned by the Deputy Director General of UNESCO this morning. And I invite you to discover more about what our cities and us can do to contribute to climate resilience. Once again, a very few words. Culture and creativity enable us to move beyond sciences, addressing climate change through innovation, engagement, and collective action at the local, national, and regional levels. Thank you.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. Unfortunately, time is very limited. If I can ask the other three speakers one question, and unfortunately, I can only give each person 1 minute to answer. Out of all the programs that you have done in your city, which program can you mention here that represents the best practice or model of an impactful implementation? Maybe we can start with Isabel and then Tita and Ronnie. Thank you.
Thank you. So just in 1 minute, I could choose Banc d'Essai to illustrate one program inside the Cité du Design 2025 program. Banc d'Essai is a collaboration between the designers and the local companies. And during the Biennale, so they are creating urban furniture. And these urban furniture are tested during the Biennale by all the visitors, so coming from all over the world. So this is a good example of local action and international collaboration. So this is my choice with this project Banc d'Essai. Thank you so much.
All right. From me, because I'm representing ICCN, so what ICCN has done that is impactful is our policy recommendations for G20 2020, where we say that creative economy is actually a sector that is most inclusive to approach the sustainable development goal that we have to achieve in 2030, which is not so far, because creative economy can provide jobs for all, for youth, for women, and so on. And then also by minding the, because we're in the global south, we're still very much dense in population, and we have lots of tradition and so on that we haven't explored completely. So that is a really great field to explore further within the context of creative economy. Thank you.
Okay. I think, like I said before, for the Sound of Green, I think for G20, it's very important to think to overcome the problem of small island, because the small island is a fragile ecosystem. So that's why by music we try to solve some problems in small islands. So it's mean that we try to make a collaboration. Sound of Green sound representative of music, and other hand, Green is representative of environment. I think this is very important, because by music we can make anything. Like in Ambon, we have only one sector, very important sector, to affect for another sector. I think music is we ought to handle some problems in Ambon City or in small island, according to also the culture or traditional local condition. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your answers. So in this opportunity, I would like to thank you, all our brilliant four speakers. Thank you for your presentation, and all the other audience, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us in this session. With this, I hand over the floor to our host, Vinka, Natasha. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Laura Prinsloo. I hope to see you in the next session. Bye.
well, also thank you very much, Laura Prinsu, for leading the plenary one. Next, we're moving on to the plenary two, Global Health Architecture, with the spokespersons from the International Coalition of Inclusive and Sustainable Cities, the City of Gwangju, the Mega Cities Alliance for Water and Climate, the Greater Paris Sanitary Authority, Indonesia Wellness Institute, and Samsara Living Museum Karangasem, Bali. For leading these next plenary sessions, I would like to give the stage and space to my colleague, Ms. Candice Selisa, the Deputy Director of Public Communication of the Indonesia Creative Cities Network, ICCN. And now she has joined us for Beyond Urban Road to G20 Summit. So please welcome Ms. Candice Selisa.
Thank you, Finca. Good afternoon and also good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and also distinguished guests. My name is Kiani Soselisa from Indonesia Creative Cities Network. Following the first plenary, we will continue with the second plenary, where we will have an interactive panel with 6 distinguished speakers. Our topic for plenary 2 is Global Health Architecture. This session discusses how public health and related solutions and services can be conceived and delivered inclusively in urban areas, as well as how to address public health issues through modifiable environmental factors in cities. Here is the order of speaking of our 6 distinguished speakers who will be talking about global health architecture. Our first speaker, Mrs. Linda Tinio, Assistant Program Specialist, International Coalition of Inclusive and Sustainable Cities. Our second speaker, Mr. Gyeonggu Shin, Executive Director at International Human Rights Training Center of Gwangju Metropolitan City. Our third speaker, Mr. Simone Grego, Program Specialist, Megacities Alliance for Water and Climate. Dr. Simone Grego is a Program Specialist in the section of Groundwater Sustainability and Water Cooperation, Division of Water Sciences, UNESCO. He is currently in charge of a portfolio of projects related to transboundary aquifers, groundwater sustainability, and urban water. Our fourth speaker, Mr. Joachim Giacomoni Vincent, Director General, Public and International Affairs Administrator, Greater Paris Sanitary Authority. Our fifth speaker, Mr. Paulus Mintarga, Chief and Founder of Indonesia Wellness Institute. Mr. Paulus Mintarga is also the founder of Tim Tiga Architects, an architectural interior and landscape consulting firm since 2004, and the founder of Rempah Rumah Karya Workshop and Studio, which is a creative space for synergies together. Our sixth speaker, Mr. Ida Bagus Agung Gunartawa, co-founder of Samsara Living Museum in Karangasem, Bali. Mr. Ida Bagus Agung Gunartawa is also Vice Chairman of Bali Tourism Board, co-founder of Bali Initiative Hub, and co-founder of Bali-based Entrepreneur Network. Each speaker will have the time to present for about 5 to 7 minutes in the order of speakers as mentioned. After all speakers have finished presenting, we will continue with question and answer session. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the chat box. I'll read the questions on the question and answer session. Now, without further ado, we will turn the time over to our 6 distinguished speakers for Plenary 2, Global Health Architecture.
Good day, everyone. My name is Linda Tino Leduaran. I am the coordinator of the International Coalition of Inclusive and Sustainable Cities here at UNESCO headquarters. I am very pleased to be with you here today. And let me thank the organizers for this panel, which is really very timely as we prepare for the lead up to the G20. So first, I would like to give a very short reflection on how the global public health architecture has affected the importance of the role of cities. So as we have all seen, the COVID-19 pandemic has exposed a considerable number of asymmetric equalities, inequalities, discrimination, all the societal challenges that came out during this crisis, which led into a different perspective on how urban governance can be made. So this coalition that UNESCO established in 2004 is composed of more than 500 cities around the world. Its main objective is to create a global front for solidarity and collective action towards the creation of inclusive and non-discriminatory societies without any type of discrimination. Now, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the role of the International Coalition and its member cities has really made its way in the international arena as an important platform where cities can work together, not only through the policies and the programs, but also working hand in hand with all the civil society, the NGOs, the stakeholders, the artists. We have artists from the cities here, and of course, all those groups that are most vulnerable. So the main objective of the coalition is to actually look at the people who are most left behind. Now, in this coalition, we have 7 regional and national coalitions around the world. One of them is going to be represented by Professor Shin, who is leading the Asia Pacific Coalition of Cities Against Discrimination. Now, in the period of COVID-19, UNESCO organized a series of webinars called Inclusion in the Time of COVID-19, which addressed racism, discrimination, and inequalities in societies. And we were able to look not only to the health issue, but also the underlying inequalities that arose from the crisis, from this health crisis. There were a lot of instances of the problems for the access, for health information, for health facilities, also societal problems that arose, meaning for those that are homeless, for those who are not having the access to all these institutions, the indigenous peoples, persons with disabilities, vulnerable women and youth, the case of domestic violence, all these wrapped up in a coherent whole where we understand that the pandemic is leading to a re-questioning of how city governments can be given a crucial role in the solution, in finding the solutions. So during this webinar series, the different stakeholders, mostly the city governments and the partners that they work with, the NGOs and the different associations who were on the ground, it showed that there needs to be a multi-sectoral and multi-level approach in addressing the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. So it means that there has to be a whole of society and whole of community approach. We do not only depend on the authorities, especially that the cities are on the forefront of the crisis. So there has to be an interface between national government policies that cascade down to the local policies at the local level. cities being at the forefront. And also there has to be the involvement and the inclusion of civil society and other communities working hand in hand to find the solutions to these problems. Now, it also emerged, there also emerged a set of recommendations from these webinars, and that included the need for research on different disaggregated data that will be relying on the expertise of scientific and academic institutions working hand in hand with the target population. So there needs to be a needs assessment procedure where we reach out to the most affected, especially in times of crisis, and analyze the needs and the resources that are available to be able to find the best solutions for the challenges ahead. Now, UNESCO is leading another flagship initiative, which is actually a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. In December 2020, the member states of UNESCO adopted a decision which called for the increase of efforts from different partners around the world. It's called the Global Call Against Racism and Discrimination. So it is urging all actors in the international community to step up their efforts in the fight against racism and discrimination in the context of the COVID-19 crisis and as we go through the recovery phase of this pandemic. This global forum will be held in Mexico in November, and we will be featuring the excellent work that the city governments have done during the pandemic and how they were able to work hand in hand with civil societies and other stakeholders, including the target populations, in order to look for solutions both at the policy and at the programmatic and practical level of urban governance. I believe that my 5 minutes is up, but I will be available for any questions later on during the interactive discussion. Thank you.
Thank you for Mrs. Linda Tinio, our first speaker. We will continue with our second speaker, Mr. Gyeong-gu Shin, Executive Director at International Human Rights Training Center of Gwangju Metropolitan City. The time is yours, Mr. Gyeong-gu Shin.
I think there's something wrong with my video because I have two cameras.
Oh, okay, Mr. Shin. So here. Hello, Mr. Shin.
Can you hear me then?
Yes, we can hear you clearly here, Mr. Shin.
Thank you then.
Okay.
In fact, I want to show you three aspects. First one is Gwangju has very important connection with UNESCO. In UNESCO City Network, we have 4 important the UNESCO City Network. In addition, we also have I want to introduce Human Rights Network of the city. And then thirdly, I want to introduce measures of the city to the challenges of coronavirus and then climate changes. First, Gwangju has 4 connections with UNESCO City Network. The first one is, as we are talking about today, we are now meeting under the Indonesian Cultural City Network. Gwangju also joined the UNESCO Creative Cities Network in 2014 in the field of media art. In this creative field, various initiatives bring together artistic tradition, democratic values, and human rights, and then high-tech science and technology, which are key components of the city's past and present. Second connection is global geopark. So the mountain inside the city joined UNESCO Global Geopark in 2018, 4 years ago. Another connection with the UNESCO is that we also joined Human Rights Documentary Heritage Archives for the May 18 uprising against the military regime in 1980. The archives manages collection of the documents from different areas like people, government, and then prosecution of the court on the criminals of the military coup d'etat crimes. So, and then the fourth UNESCO connection is human rights documentary heritage, which I already mentioned. We also, yes, the fourth connection is Asia Pacific Coalition Against Discrimination, which Linda mentioned a while ago. So we joined the APED coalition a long time ago, but Gwangju City began to be the lead city from 3 years ago. Those 4 city network we were joining now, but at the same time, Gwangju promotes human rights cities itself by establishing Gwangju Human Rights Charter, Gwangju Human Rights Department, Gwangju Human Rights Citizen Committee, Gwangju Human Rights Indicators, among others. One of the most important devices is an annual forum, World Human Rights Cities Forum, which began in 2011. We are having 12th Human Rights Cities Forum 6 October. Hope we can have many Indonesian cities participating in this forum. Especially in this forum, we have a special meeting for Asia Pacific Coalition nation. So at this time, we also show our new device of inclusive city marker system, to which we want to invite some Indonesian cities to work together, making presentation. The final measure we want to share with you is the climate change and then pandemic, our measures against climate change and coronavirus pandemic. The first one, in order to respond to the climate crisis, Gwangju City established International Climate and Environment Center in 2012. So the center is active in promoting measures against climate change and environmental crisis. In addition, in facing the coronavirus pandemic in 2020, Gwangju City provided a universal services to all residents in the city area, especially directed to the vulnerable groups, including non-documented migrants. We provided free coronavirus test to everybody, even without asking for the ID card. We simply get the phone number and then provided service to the test. In addition, we also provided financial service to all residents, including migrants. In addition, we also provided special financial support to small and medium-sized businesses, which suffered the most from the lowered business activities. So there are some other measures, but those four areas I want to share with you. Hope that I can give you more information in the Q&A session. Thank you very much.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear colleagues, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. My name is Simone Grego, and it is a pleasure for me to be here today on behalf of UNESCO. There will be two presentations today. I will present the first one, which will give an overview on the Megacities Alliance for Water and Climate, or MAWAC, while Mr. Giacomoni from CIAP will take care of the second presentation, which will be on a case study. So, okay, I see that the PowerPoint is screened, so next, please. Next slide. Sorry, this is not the correct presentation. We circulated the correct one yesterday. Can somebody allow me either to screen mine or maybe to put the correct slides, because this is not the correct one. Can I have some feedback from the organizers, please?
Hello, Mr. Grego.
Yes.
Okay, yes, we are working for enabling you to share your screen, Mr. Grego.
Okay. Okay, but otherwise there were not many changes. Okay, I see. I can share the screen. No, I'm not allowed yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now I've been promoted to organizer. Thank you.
Okay.
Maybe, no, I still cannot share.
All right.
Okay, let me go ahead with the old slides. I added two slides at the beginning. I will go through them without showing them, okay?
Okay, Mr. Grego.
Okay, thank you very, very much. So you can put up the old slides in the meanwhile. And so before talking about the slides that you will now have in front, I added a couple of slides to give somehow a background on the role of water in urban, in cities, okay? I have prepared a picture which somehow reorganized the SDGs by showing that water, SDG 6, can be put at the center of the other SDGs. A metaphor that I use often in the presentation is that water flows throughout all the SDGs and interconnect them. So somehow water is essential to eliminate poverty, to end hunger, and so on. And as you might have been able to see, if the slide was there, water, SDG 6 and SDG 11 on cities are very closely interconnected. And also water is at the heart of other global and regional agendas, like, for example, the Paris Agreement, the Sendai Framework, the urban agenda. If you do a string search in the urban agenda approved in 2017, you would find over 40 mentions to water. And moving to regional scale, for example, for the Agenda 2063 on the Africa we want. Within this framework, UNESCO is working towards a water secure world through our main water program, which is the Intergovernmental Hydrological Program. The 9th phase of the program, which will guide UNESCO's activities on water, was launched a few months ago and will last until the end of the SDGs, more or less, until 2029. The program addresses water issues in a very holistic way, and urban water cuts across all the different priority areas, which are focused on scientific research and innovation, on water education and the fourth industrial revolution, very important on the bridging the data and knowledge gap. This is a very important thing. And then finally on IWRM, on the integrated water resource management and on water governance. And as you can imagine, urban water, as I mentioned before, is a cross-cutting theme for all these priority areas. Now I would like to ask the organizers to share the slides that they have, the old ones, because then I can continue my presentation. Okay, next, please. Okay, these now are the new ones. Okay, then next, please. And next, please. Okay, thank you very much. The MAWAC, thanks. The Megacities Alliance for Water and Climate. So what is the vision of the MAWAC? The vision of the MAWAC, it's to have water secure megacities where communities are prosperous and resilient to the effects of climate change, global change, and they're able to develop sustainability while preserving the environment. And why is this? What's the context for this is that megacities, no, don't change slide, thank you. Megacities are found on all continents. No, please go back to the previous slide. Megacities are found on all continents except Oceania, and since 2008, and for the first time in history, the majority of the world population is concentrated in urban centers. These are data from the UN Statistical Division. And by 2030, more than 1 billion people will live around 100 very large cities, okay? So within this framework, the objective of the MAWAC is to provide a platform for megacities to share experiences and challenges. So this word is very important, sharing knowledge, experiences, and challenges, to propose solutions and to obtain access to technical and financial support for programs and projects to enable them to overcome the challenges of climate change. So there's issues and there's solutions, because megacities are places where there are issues, but they also offer a wealth of solutions. The specific objectives of the Alliance are 4, and the first one is, as mentioned, to facilitate experience sharing, then to strengthen the governance of water resources, to build knowledge base on water and climate issues, and identify means and mechanisms for funding. So next slide, please. The activities of the MAWAC revolve around 4 pillars. The first one is the social and the water and sanitation management for human well-being. Again, human well-being is there, so it's not only science. The second one is climate change and water-related hazards. The third is ecosystem. And the fourth, and this is very important because MAWAC is not only water, it's social and economic development. And this is done taking into consideration 5 drivers: water governance, data and information, cooperation, STI, which is science, technology and innovation, and finally financing. You didn't see the picture at the beginning, but you will see that these 5 drivers are very similar to the 5 pillars of the program of UNESCO, the water program of UNESCO IHP 9. There are 5 main partners of the Alliance. The first is the Division of Water Sciences of UNESCO, where I am working. The second one is the ICLEI, Local Governments for Sustainability, which is a global network of several cities and regions. Then we have CIAF, the public service that daily treats wastewater for the inhabitants of Paris. The fourth is the La Métropole du Grand Paris, or Greater Paris. And the fifth one is ARSO, an NGO which was founded around 10 years ago. Next slide, please. Thank you. MAWAC has a global approach, but at the same time, in parallel to the establishment of the global platform, MAWAC is conducting the regionalization strategy by setting up 4 major regional alliances: the Latin American and Caribbean one, the Asian Pacific, the Africa, and the North America. The regional alliance is expected to pave the way for the formal establishment of the global alliance, which is also projected to undertake the decentralization mandate of MAWAC in order to materialize also the regional visions. For the second part of this presentation, actually for the second presentation, I will now give the floor to our partner, SIAP, with Joachim Giacomoni representing its public and international affairs. So thank you very much for your attention, and Joachim, the floor is now yours. Thank you.
Well, hello everybody. Thank you. Thank you for your invitation to participate to this webinar. I would like to say a special thank to Simone Grego, who was talking about MAWAC just before me, because it will be, I will just try to present you one example of this, an illustration of this Megacities Alliance cooperation between the SIAP and the Metro Manila. Well, first of all, I have to tell you a few words about the SIAP. The SIAP is the public authority which treats each day 2.4 million cubic meters of wastewater produced by more than 9 million people in and around Paris. The SIAP works daily to protect water resources and in particular the quality of the Seine and Marne River. I don't know if we can share the presentation, if you can see it, because you will see the map, the next one. You will have the presentation with the territory of the SIAP. Just the next one, please. Yeah, this is the territory of the SIAP. You can see in the middle the Seine and the Marne River. The SIAP works daily to protect the water resources and in particular the quality of the Seine and Marne rivers. Like everywhere in the world, the SIAP has to work with the climate change effects and with a strong urbanization of its territory. Facing the climate change, the densification of urban environment and the difficulties in managing cross-border waters, access and preservation of water resources are global issues. For several years, SIAP has been committed to an international relations strategy. And thanks to the French law Houdin-Santini, the SIAP can dedicate 1% of its global budget to the international cooperation. It means about around 6 million euros by year. Not enough. It's never enough. Thanks to this law, the SIAP is today leads today 30 projects around the world. And this is exactly in the global framework of the MAWAC. Simone Greco was talking about presenting the MAWAC just before, that the SIAP started 5 years ago a cooperation with the Metro Manila. To make the long story short, after an emergency help from the SIAP in the dramatic occasion of the Typhoon Haiyan, the Secretary of Environment of Philippines came to Paris and visit the SIAP and solicitate the institution to bring his knowledge and his experiences for the rehabilitation of Pasig River. Our common point between Paris and Manila is the river. In the middle of the city of Paris, you've got the Seine, and I can just illustrate the quality of the Seine. In 1970, there is only 3 species of fish in the Seine River. Today, we can have 34 different species of fish in the river. It showed the quality, the improvement of the quality of the Seine. And you've got Manila with the Pasig River. Pasig River is a long river, not a very long river, it's only 25 kilometers, but between Laguna, it starts in Laguna Lake for going until Laguna Bay. But we call the Pasig River today a death river. There is no life in this river. This is a river biologically dead. And the ask for our agreement, when the Secretary of Filipina came to see us, to ask us help, it was how we could help them to improve the quality of the Pasig River. It was really hard. It's not an easy thing to do. So we started the cooperation doing, you can change the slide, please. The next one. Like that. Well, you can see Manila, it's easy. And the point was to find and to build a common solution together with the Metro Manila and for the rehabilitation of Pasig River. And we knew exactly that the solution will be very hard to build, but we decided to start a big master plan for the metro, the megapole. And in the same time, we wanted to show to the population that it was possible to improve the quality of the Pasig River is, as I told you, a long river, but with 32 branches. So we tried to build a pilot in the same time to show to the population that it was possible to clear this water. But we learn each time, and when we are trying to speak about water, we know very well today that when we have a problem of water, we have a problem of sanitation, and more than this, you have a problem of solid waste. So that the solution could not be built only by us, and that's why we asked to the SICTOM. The SICTOM, this is the public authority from Paris for the solid waste, to come with us and to study the case of Manila and to build this solution between Metro Manila, SIAP, and SICTOM in order to reach the goal of the improvement of this river. Well, it's not finished today. We are always following the development of this master plan and this station. I won't explain you technically how we can do, but of course, if you need more information, you can ask us and you can ask to the UNESCO, and we will send you the particularity of the project. But what is really important to say, and that's why this agreement is in the framework of the MARAC, this is really the sense, what is important to say. So we have to learn, the climate change effects are everywhere in the world, and we have to learn from each other. We have to build together the solution, and what Manila knows about the flooding, Paris knows exactly the same thing, but it's stronger and stronger. The problem is stronger and stronger, and we have to share our good practices, our knowledge, and in order to build. This is the framework of MAWAC, and we are really happy to work with the authority of Metro Manila in order to find the solution. Well, if you want more about the project, you can ask us, and I will tell you. Thank you.
Ya, terima kasih. Selamat sore. Izin menggunakan bahasa Indonesia. Nama saya Paulus Mintarga dari Indonesia Wellness Institute. Saya langsung aja akan mempresentasikan, men-sharingkan materi yang sudah disiapkan. Mari silakan share screen. Oke, jadi Indonesia Wellness Institute. Lanjut. Ya, pertanyaan pertama adalah apa itu wellness gitu ya. Jadi Global Wellness Institute sudah punya definisinya gitu ya. Tetapi kalau kita mau menyederhanakan apa itu wellness itu, ini bisa diartikan sebagai hidup berkualitas gitu ya. Hidup yang berkualitas atau gaya hidup yang berkualitas dalam multidimensi wellness gitu. Jadi seperti hidup yang ideal lah. Jadi ketika kita masih anak-anak atau kita punya anak itu selalu berdoa lah atau mengharapkan atau punya harapan bahwa anak kita nanti ke depannya itu akan menjadi orang yang sehat, sukses dan berhasil gitu ya. Jadi dulu ada istilah bahwa di dalam tubuh yang sehat ada jiwa yang sehat dan seterusnya gitu ya. Nah, inilah yang dimaksudkan dengan wellness itu adalah kualitas hidup yang berkualitas multidimensi gitu, dari wellness itu sendiri. Yang sering disebutkan ada 6 dimensi, dimensi fisik gitu ya, physical, kemudian dimensi mental, kemudian ada dimensi spiritual, dimensi emosional, sosial, lingkungan, tetapi masih ada 2 dimensi lagi gitu ya, yang jarang disebut yaitu okupasi atau kedudukan atau jabatan atau pekerjaan gitu, dan finansial. Ini adalah dimensi-dimensi wellness gitu. Lanjut. Ya, kenapa wellness? Pertanyaannya ya. Jadi tadi ada definisi wellness yang sudah sederhana, kemudian sekarang pertanyaannya kenapa wellness gitu ya. Jadi ada 2 hal yang penting atau 2 aspek yang penting berkaitan dengan wellness ini. Lanjut. Yang pertama adalah aspek kesehatan. Jadi di dalam aspek kesehatan ini data-data menunjukkan bahwa yang pertama bahwa hidup di zaman modern ini memang kita mengalami rasa-rasanya waktu itu sedemikian padat atau cepat atau rasa-rasanya tidak cukup waktunya gitu ya. Jadi seolah-olah hidup itu berkejaran dengan waktu. Nah, kondisi ini menimbulkan stres, ya, kecemasan, dan ini menyebabkan kesehatan secara menyeluruh, daya tahan tubuh kita ini menurun gitu ya. Ini kondisi yang ada di dunia saat ini gitu, di zaman modern ini. Kemudian yang kedua itu tentang keberadaan dari preventable disease atau penyakit kronis gitu ya, yang ternyata bertanggung jawab ada sekitar 71% kematian secara global itu sebenarnya disebabkan oleh penyakit kronis yang disebut sebagai emerging pandemic gitu ya. Nah, beberapa waktu yang lalu, sekarang pun mungkin masih dalam proses penurunan gitu ya, tetapi kita mengalami pandemik COVID-19 ya, COVID-19. Jadi sebenarnya penyakit kronis ini seperti komorbid kalau bahasanya yang kemarin. Jadi kalau kita itu punya komorbid, ya itu kan berarti lebih berisiko lah dibandingkan yang tidak punya komorbid. Tetapi kalau komorbid ini di-maintain dalam arti kata kita itu melakukan pencegahan ya dengan gaya hidup sehat tadi, gaya hidup wellness, kita melakukan pencegahan, apalagi bukan hanya preventif tapi juga promotif, itu ternyata berpengaruh besar gitu ya terhadap kondisi kesehatan kita sehingga kita lebih tahan gitu ya terhadap pandemi kemarin itu. Kemudian yang ketiga, ini data menunjukkan bahwa pengeluaran atau belanja kesehatan itu dari global itu mencapai kisaran 10% GDP global. Jadi ini tumbuh lebih cepat dibanding pertumbuhan ekonomi. Ini artinya apa? Bahwa semakin ke sini, semakin ke depan, itu kesehatan itu lebih sulit dijangkau gitu ya, karena berarti dia akan lebih mahal gitu, lebih sulit dijangkau oleh kebanyakan orang gitu. Nah, sebenarnya ini karena di dalam sistem kesehatan itu diklasifikasikan atau dikelompokkan ada 2 kelompok besar gitu ya. Sistem kesehatan konvensional dan sistem kesehatan non konvensional. Sistem kesehatan konvensional itu yang bersifat kuratif atau jadi kalau kita sakit baru diobatin gitu ya. Sedangkan yang non konvensional ini termasuk malah tradisional itu termasuk non konvensional. Ini bersifat preventif dan promotif. Nah, inilah yang sebenarnya yang ternyata itu sangat dibutuhkan di dalam kondisi dengan data-data yang ada saat ini gitu. Oke, lanjut. Nah, selain aspek kesehatan, ternyata wellness ini juga sangat signifikan juga di aspek ekonomi gitu ya. Jadi Global Wellness Institute mencatat ada 11 key sektor untuk ekonomi atau industri ini. ada personal care and beauty, physical activity, healthy eating, nutrition gitu ya. Ini semua masuk kelompok-kelompok key subsektor gitu ya, atau key sektor dari ekonomi atau industri dari wellness. Dan proyeksinya adalah sampai tahun 2025 pertumbuhan ekonomi atau industri wellness ini melebihi dari pertumbuhan ekonomi rata-rata dunia. Jadi ini masih menjanjikan sekali. Ini adalah aspek yang kedua, aspek ekonomi. Kalau kita ngomong tentang keberlanjutan selain kesehatan juga ekonomi juga berpengaruh penting. Lanjut. Nah, kondisi tadi ya, keberadaan inilah dianggap bahwa hal wellness adalah penting gitu ya, dan inilah salah satu alasan utama atau terbelakang kenapa Indonesia Wellness Institute ini diinisiasi gitu. Jadi diperlukan ada satu kelompok perkumpulan atau seperti katalisator gitu ya, atau badan yang bisa mempercepat atau menginisiasi atau memprovide adanya wellness di Indonesia. Lanjut. Jadi IWI ini atau Indonesia Wellness Institute ini adalah satu hadir ya untuk menjadi penggerak ekosistem wellness di Indonesia. Lanjut. Visinya secara sederhana adalah menjadi wellness provider di Indonesia yang berakar pada Gestra Indo, yaitu sistem kesehatan tradisional Indonesia, kemudian mengembangkan tradisi wellness, ya ini adalah tradisional Indonesian wellness, yang nantinya diharapkan akan menjadi Indonesia Wellness Tradition gitu ya. Jadi tradisi yang baru wellness di Indonesia gitu, di mana berakar dari tradisi-tradisi di Indonesia yang memang banyak sekali atau kaya sekali dengan wisdomnya tentang wellness ini. Oke, berikutnya. Misinya ada 3, yang utama ya, yang utama ada 3. Yang pertama itu mengenai gerakan kesehatan masyarakat secara nasional gitu ya. Gerakan masyarakat secara nasional ini implementasi programnya kita namakan sebagai Indonesia Wellness City gitu ya. Jadi gerakan kota wellness di Indonesia yang arahnya memang mengarah kepada kesehatan masyarakat ke sana. Kemudian yang kedua adalah melakukan kajian dan riset industri, ya ini untuk support tadi karena ini ada sisi industri dan ekonominya. Jadi perlu adanya kajian dan riset yang bisa digunakan oleh pelaku-pelaku industri di dalam mereka melakukan bisnis atau kegiatan ekonominya gitu. Kemudian yang ketiga, ternyata memang wellness di Indonesia ini menurut data dari Global Wellness Institute sempat tidak masuk peta dunia gitu ya. Jadi dikarenakan salah satunya belum adanya karakter yang kuat dari wellness di Indonesia. Lah program inilah yang kami sebut sebagai tradisi wellness itu ya, mengembangkan tradisional Indonesian wellness menjadi Indonesia Wellness Tradition ke depannya gitu. Berdasarkan tradisi inilah kita punya karakter yang justru yang lokal inilah yang nantinya bisa dipanggung global gitu. Ini adalah 3 program utama dari 3 misi dan 3 program utama dari IWI atau Indonesia Wellness Institute. Lanjut. Nah, ini adalah salah satu inisiasi pertama kali di mana Solo ini sudah mendeklarasikan sebagai Solo Wellness City, the City of Jawa Wellness gitu ya. Jadi ini adalah peta kota Solo, dia punya 19 rumah sakit, kemudian ada 17 puskesmas, tetapi dia punya klinik Pratama itu ada 88 unit dan posyandunya ada 606 unit. Solo ini sendiri kota yang cukup kecil gitu ya, dia hanya 44 km persegi, dan identifikasi ini nantinya bahwa gerakan kesehatan masyarakat tadi dengan preventif dan promotif, ya kalau di Solo atau di Jawa ini kita lebih mengenal kalau pengobatan tradisional dengan jamu gitu ya. Nah, bagaimana nanti tempat-tempat ini yang baik itu rumah sakit, kemudian puskesmas maupun sampai ke posyandu, ini bisa menjadi gerakan untuk masyarakat ini mempunyai pola hidup atau gaya hidup sehat gitu ya, dengan melakukan preventif dan promotif, terutama menggunakan cara-cara tradisi yang memang sudah terbukti gitu. Kebetulan di Solo juga dekat Solo di Karanganyar ada Balai Besar Penelitian dan Pengembangan Tanaman Obat dan Obat Tradisional, sehingga mereka akan sangat support sekali untuk mensaintifikasi jamu sehingga itu bermanfaat untuk kesehatan masyarakat. Lanjut. Kemudian inisiasi yang kedua itu berkaitan dengan aspek riset dan riset ekonomi dan industri gitu ya, atau industri gitu ya. Ini adalah embrio. Jadi 2021 kemarin kita sudah menginisiasi adanya Aroma Awareness Festival. Kemudian nanti di Agustus tanggal 5 sampai 7 ini bekerja sama dengan Kemenparekraf, ini kita menyelenggarakan IWTCF atau International Wellness Tourism Conference dan Festival gitu ya. Ini adalah embrio dari Indonesia Wellness Summit dan Festival. Jadi tahun depan kita akan memperluas lagi untuk Indonesia Wellness Summit dan Festivalnya. Oke, lanjut. Nah, ini adalah tradisi wellness. Kita mengembangkan pilotingnya, kita akan memulai dengan dua tempat gitu ya. Yang satu di Jawa, yang satu lagi di Bali. Dengan Gus Agung, nanti Gus Agung bisa melanjutkan atau akan mempresentasikan lebih detail. Jadi kalau yang di Jawa ini kita menggunakan beksan sebagai tradisi Jawa Wellness, kemudian nanti di Bali ada Samsara tradisi Bali Wellness. Oke, lanjut. Ya, sekian, terima kasih.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you, Mbak Kenny, for the chance. Mbak Kenny, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, Mr. Gus Agung.
Okay,
We can
thank
hear
you
you
once
well.
again. Ya, Om Swastiastu. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Ida Bagus Agunartawo from Samsara Living Museum. Firstly, I would like to deliver my highest appreciation to the initiators of this great event, the UNESCO Cities Platform and Indonesia Creative Cities Network. Maybe Mbak Geni, would you share? Yeah. Okay. So we are from Samsara Living Museum and also Indonesia Creative Cities Network. Would like to share our idea about the global health architecture from the traditional perspective, which is, in our opinion, the global health architecture should be also think about something bigger than only physical health, which is that is about the quality of life. Next. But to implement the perspective, we found some challenge here. For example, the first is the global health architecture to this, the 10 is still to be creative and also has not reached remote areas yet, has not accommodated aspect of each other habit or cultural yet, and also has not optimizing community participation yet. So we try to solve this problem by next slide. That we are Indonesia Creative Cities Network, collaborate with Samsara Living Museum, initiate Indonesia Living Museum ecosystem. What is the living museum ecosystem mean? Is the strategic to develop the areas that there are still have so many challenges, to find out or to discover what is the strengths they have. So finally, in 3 years, we already done. We have always spread already in some areas or island in Indonesia. Next. Yeah, and one of our pilot project is in Karangasem Regency in the eastern part of Bali. And next, with some quick win. Yeah, so in Karangasem, we already have 6 living museum with their age strengthness. Yeah, for example, in Tenganan, the very famous based on their local or the village management, and also in museum Pustaka Lontar, their strengthness is about the manuscript literation, etc. Next, I'd like also to share a short video. So maybe the operators, can you help me to share the video? Only 1 minute, don't worry. Yeah, this is in Tenganan Pegering Singa with their strengthness on the village management, traditional village management, and this is in Museum Pustaka Lontar with their manuscript literature, and this is in Samsara Living Museum with our fundamental values related with the circle of Balinese life. Yeah, and this is in Museum Sangyang Dedari in Gerianekau. Their strengthness is in agriculture tradition, yeah. And the last one is Sajang Living Museum. They talk about the local beverage, yeah, so that we are in Karangasem, one of the living museum ecosystem in Indonesia. Then finally, after we do some assessment, especially in Karangasem, we find out one of the strengthness thing is majority of them they have so many values, so many traditions, so many daily life that relate with wellness tradition. So relate with what Paulo said before, I'm also would like to share what is the wellness tradition that we are already do or already create in Samsara. Next. Yeah, Samsara is one of prototype of Balinese wellness tradition with our, again, fundamental values relate with the circle of Balinese life, start from unborn baby until grow, and then adult, and then finally after getting old and then die, and then born again, name it Samsara or reincarnation. And next. Yeah, in Samsara, we using the fundamental values about the circle of Balinese life, but also connecting with the Balinese belief structure, which is, I think some of you maybe already know about Veda. Veda actually divides to be two. The first one is talk about Shruti. Shruti is majority related with revelation tools. And the second one is Smrti in the right side. Now in Smrti, we have so many alliteration or manual that really unique and absolutely relate with the wellness tradition. For example, in Jyotisha, in Jyotisha manual, which is Jyotisha mean astronomy in modern era. That's already contain how to counting, how to break down the SWOT analytic for every birth of the people, or especially Balinese people. And the second one, if you also already know about one thing famous from Bali, Nemetri Takarana, how the Balinese people believe that we should be keep harmony with the God, with the human, and also with the environment. And also in Ayurveda, we have so many manuals that relate with medicine or traditional medicine. For example, in Salvia, that is the knowledge about the surgery. Yeah, and next. Based on Balinese belief structure, we try to find out or to break down the structure or the Balinese wellness tradition structure in one page. We try to simplify so everybody able to understand shortly. Yeah, Based on this pyramid, how to say pyramid in English, pyramid. The most important thing or the highest expectation or belief for Balinese people is how they are able to unite to the God. And the second one, that is the top, right? And then now we are going down. How to make sure, we will unite to the God. We need to make sure again in every cycle of Balinese life we have a positive progress. And then to make sure again we have the positive progress, we need to have our body, our mind, and soul in good quality. And to make sure again our body, mind, and soul in a good quality, so on that field the wellness tradition will work. This is the structure or the logic of Balinese wellness tradition in the simple way. Next. This is just for example, what we do in Samsara. We devise our experience program or product to be 5. The first is always in Bali. If we would like to start something, we do Tirta Yatra or meditation. And next, because our time is only 5 until 7 minutes. Next, the second step is purification and 5 sense treatment, which is in Balinese name it pelukatan. And then the third part is, next slide, reflection. Relate with what explained before in Jyotisha manual, which is that relate with astronomic knowledge. In reflection, we able also find out what is the strength, what is the weakness, what is the opportunity, and also what is the threat of everyone. Maybe like a birth chart, but we are still have the original iteration that's maybe more than 500 years ago. Okay, next. The last one. I think the fourth, we also have the therapy and herbal with very unique treatment with our local name, for example, Loloh, Bore, Simbuh, Tutuh, and Wood. And the last one, we also have something like exercise. But next slide, please. But I think the differentiation of our exercise is we don't do the experience based on mainstream yoga. We have our daily life that actually already relate with the function or the meaning of yoga. So some activities that we do in Samsara is just do again our daily life, like offering making, like do a Balinese dance, and also Balinese traditional music. I think that's all from me, Mbak Kenny. I'm sorry for my poor English, I need to course with you. Okay, Om Santi, 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 Om.
Okay, thank you very much for all of our 6 distinguished speakers. Before we will move further, I will provide the summary of Mr. Paulus Mintarga's presentation. So Mr. Paulus Mintarga is the chief and also founder of Indonesia Wellness Institute. The presentation starts with the definition of wellness, which is a lifestyle that maintains and improves the quality of life in multidimensional wellness, ideal life. And also by being multidimensional here, meaning that physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, social, and also environment would be part of that. There are two more other than that would be the position or achievement and also the financial aspect. Why wellness important? There are two reasons for that. The first one would be about health. Modern value system drives stress, anxiety, and also burnout and are weakening our overall resilience. So unhealthy lifestyles here lead to rampant chronic disease, responsible for 71% of death globally. So it has more risk, but it can be prevented through our health there. And it has already been proven during the pandemic. So it is predicted that health here is riskier to have in the future. If we only know the conventional health, we also have the curative and promotive one. Curative would be the one we will get medicine if we got certain illness, but another way to see that would be through preventive and promotive, which is very much needed. The second aspect would be economy. So global wellness economy is very prospective market with about 4.5 trillion market worldwide. So this is why Indonesia Wellness Institute was born. So Indonesia Wellness Institute is an association that drives the Indonesian wellness ecosystem and is active in wellness networks nationally and internationally. So IWI here is the catalyst for wellness in Indonesia. Indonesia is rich in tradition and wisdom in wellness, and that would be translated into the vision and also mission of Indonesia Wellness Institute by empowering all preventive, promotive health potential, conducting studies and research, and by developing Indonesia's wellness tradition with distinctive global approach. So Solo is one of the role models for Indonesia Wellness Series, where it is not only for jamu or the traditional drink that, but also for the hospitals and others. So the research for economy and also industry is also held. One of them would be through Aroma Wellness Festival, which will be held on November 2022. The pilot project for IWI would be in two areas in Indonesia. The one that would be Java and another Bali. So Mr. Ida Bagus Agung Gunartawa just explained about Balinese wellness tradition through celebrating the life and also belief structure from Bali. Okay, thank you very much for all of our distinguished speakers for the compelling presentation. We have heard the presentation from all of you about public health, and then we also know about the thorough approach for global health architecture. And the most important thing would be the collaboration between society, communities, and also government. And next would be about how water is very essential resource. From other presentation made by Mr. Paulus and also Mr. Ida Bagus Gunartawa, we also know that traditional wealth and also traditional health there would be one of the most important thing to have. So a research suggests that COVID-19 or the pandemic made people more health conscious and willing to change their lifestyles to stay well. Traditions already have the way for preserving our health and also wellness, and communities will go hand in hand to collect the resources, raise the awareness, and collaborate with more stakeholders. So now we will proceed with the question and answer. Okay, we will proceed with the question and answer. And here we have one question. The first question will go for Mr. Simone Grego. Mr. Simone?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, hi, Mr. Grego. Okay, so we have one question here for you. How could sharing of knowledge and information reinforce public health services in urban area?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the question. It's extremely relevant and is actually linked to the presentation I just gave. because as you've seen, the MAWAC, the alliance, it's based on sharing of knowledge. But sharing of knowledge, let me underline this thing that the IHP, the Intergovernmental Hydrological Program of UNESCO, does not deal directly with public health. However, it deals with water, and water is at the center of public health services. Because when we talk about drinking water, wastewater treatment, sanitation, hygiene, the rise of the water table, recycling water, and several other aspects, we're actually talking about issues that deal directly with public health. So in exchanging information, issues, good practices, and finding opportunities on the specific themes within the Alliance, what we are doing, we are actually facilitating the improvement of public health. So without going into much detail, because I understand there's not much time and a lot of speakers already, what I would like to say is that it's only by sharing the skills, the knowledge, solutions, opportunity for funding that we would be able to, about water, that we would be able to contribute to public health in megacities. So I hope this answered to your questions. If not, I'm happy to elaborate further. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Grego. Okay, so here we have one more question, and it would be addressed to our other 5 distinguished speakers here. The question would be about the opportunities here. We were talking about cities and also all of the potentials before. So regarding the new normal lifestyles and also after the pandemic here, so what are the opportunities for cities here, especially considering the new normal lifestyles in the post-COVID global context? Perhaps we will start from Mrs. Linda Tinio first, and then will be followed by Mr. Gyeong Gushind, and then by Mr. Joachim Giacomoni, Mr. Paulus Mintarga, and also Mr. Ida Bagus Agung Gunartawan.
Thank you. Thank you very much to our moderator, and thank you for the question. I think the question echoes the point that I was just trying to make in my presentation, that the COVID-19 pandemic has actually shown the repercussions of the links between health and the different challenges that emerged, the societal challenges that are also crisscrossing with the political, economic, and cultural sectors in urban governance. So what I was trying to point out is that the community is an important actor in finding the solutions in urban governance faced with the crisis, the global crisis. And I think that the role of the city now is to ensure that these communities, the vulnerable populations, those that are most affected by the crisis, are included and integrated in local decision-making processes. So this is a call to city governments, and I am sure many of them are already doing this, working with the civil society, with NGOs, with youth, women associations, with indigenous peoples, persons with disabilities. All of them are part of this decision-making process. I would also like to call upon the crucial role of youth. Youth as change makers, they have this potential to be a dynamic contributor to social transformations, effective social transformations. And many of the cities have city youth councils. These young people have this space. I would like to invite many cities to establish their own city youth council so that these young people have the voice in the decision-making table. So I think this is an opportunity where the whole of community and the whole of society approach could be leveraged towards the road to a post-COVID-19 recovery. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Linda Tinio. Perhaps may we continue first to Mr. Gyeong Gushind?
First, before I start to talk, I really I was quite a lot embarrassed with my video problem at the beginning. In the meantime, I had it fixed, so I feel very comfortable. By the way, as I presented at the beginning, healthcare of the people, especially in this kind of pandemic situation, we really believe that human right-based approach is really important. Human right-based approach means we give our attention not only those who already enjoy everything in our daily life, but to those who are discriminated in everyday life, especially the vulnerable classes. So when I talked about support to the vulnerable classes when the pandemic came 2 years ago, it was important because the coronavirus check was provided to everybody without payment, even to non-documented immigrants as well. So that kind of global service, general service, is really important. And then we also provide financial services in that kind of situation, not only to those who suffer from the pandemic, but also to small and medium-sized businesses. When we have patients among our employees, then they cannot work. Then businesses suffer. Then we have to support the wages to the patients who are not working at the moment. That kind of measures are all based on human rights policies. So to implement this kind of human rights-based approaches, as Linda already mentioned, it is important the involvement of youth as well as civil society. But at the same time, I really believe that the progressive government, progressive local government is really important. Progressive local as well as national government. Now in Korea, in a recent election, we have a conservative government in power, and then they are now reducing the general service to the service provided not at the before. The service was too general. Whether they are rich or poor, it does not matter. But now the financial service is directed only to those who lower class. Then that kind of discrimination, in fact, feel the lower class people, we belong to the lower class. If the financial service to everybody, then people get the support without feeling that they belong to the lower class. But now they chose the wage groups. Then the bottom 20% can get the financial support. Then they have to prove that they belong to the lower class. It is not human rights-based approach. So in that regard, we really believe that the civil society involvement, youth involvement important, but at the same time, we need to have a progressive government who handle the pandemic based on human rights without discrimination. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gyeonggu Shin. The next, may I have Mr. Joachim Giacomo Vincent? Mr. Joachim, are you with us? While waiting for Mr. Joachim here, perhaps we will go to Mr. Paulus Mintarga.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kenny. Okay, the opportunity is there is one word here now about awareness. awareness, especially to healthy. Most people attention to health now. The word getting well prepared, government, community, business, and others. Yeah. So awareness is one of the best option and solution. That is the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paulus Mintarga. And then, may I have Mr. Ida Bagus Agung Gunartawa?
Oke, Mbak Kenny. Ya, from my opinion, ya, COVID, I think depend on our perspective. First perspective is, I think all of us is agree pandemic give us so many problem, including in global health aspect, also economic aspect, and others. But in another perspective, if we are honest, yeah, this is also time, the best time for our Earth or our globe to recover. So I think we need also to have a concern on this. That's why, for example, our Living Museum movement much bigger during the pandemic. The movement is more massive, yeah, because many people from that time have more awareness about their quality of life, the environment, and so on. So I think this is the opportunity. That's why we are in Samsara Living Museum have one tagline during the pandemic. That is nature, culture, and future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all of our 6 distinguished speakers. May I ask again for Mr. Giacomo? Are you still here with us? Okay, then. So thank you very much for our 6 distinguished speakers. So we have very compelling presentations for today. If I could have several words here, keywords, to conclude our discussions for today would be voice. Voice is very important. Youth, they are also very important, communities, but progressive government is very much needed. And here we could have several other keywords: environment, social, society, wellness, and time to recover. Thank you very much. Thanks. Once again, thank you for all speakers. Hopefully this discussion could trigger a great movement for all cities and also communities. We will conclude our plenary too, and we will turn the time over to our host, Ms. Pinka.
Well done, Kenny. Thank you so much to all the distinguished spokespersons, moderators, and participants of the Plenary 1 and the Plenary 2. Now we are reaching the closing remarks that will be delivered by the U20 co-Sherpa G20 2022 West Java Regional Secretary, Mr. Setiawan Wang Saat Maja. Dr. Insinyur Setiawan Wang Saat Maja Diploma SEMN was appointed as the Regional Secretary of West Java Province in 2020. As the regional secretary, he is responsible for the formulation of general policies of the provincial government and administrative coordination, guidance, control, and facilitation of the implementation of the tasks of the regional apparatus and administrative services. He was assigned previously as Deputy for Apparatus Human Resources at the Ministry of Administrative and Bureaucratic Reform in 2013 to 2020, and the head of the Environmental Control Agency for West Java Province in 2008 to 2013. He has over 30 years of wide range of work experiences in public administration and policy area, human resources, and environmental management nationwide. Dr. Setiawan received various awards for his performances, including the Wibawa Saroja Nugraha Award given by the Governor of the Indonesian National Resilience Institute, or Lemhanas RI, in 2012, the Satya Lencana Karya Satya 30-Year Award, an award of public service dedication for 30 years given by the President of the Republic of Indonesia in 2021. He holds a PhD in Environmental Engineering from the Bandung Institute of Technology, or ITB Bandung, Indonesia, and Environmental Engineering from the Asian Institute of Technology, Bangkok, Thailand, and he obtained MSc in Sanitary Engineering from IHE Delft, the Netherlands, and BSc in Environmental Engineering from ITB. And now he has joined us, so please welcome Mr. Setiawan Wangsatmadja.
Thank you very much, the host. I think I should appreciate to all of you here, and I follow, I think, from the last speakers, and really appreciate it from me especially to all the speakers. And the end of the day one, I would like to thanks to all of you, and I should, I think I should say that Sampurasun, I think Sampurasun in Bahasa Sunda, in Bahasa, especially in West Java. So, and of course, this is, I think, very warm greeting from us, especially from West Java. So the Honorable of the Assistant of Director General for Culture and of the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, Mr. Ernesto Oton, and the Honorable of the Ambassador of Indonesian Parliament Delegation to the United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, Mr. Ismunandar. I think Ismunandar also from ITB. And Honorable, the Indonesia National Committee for the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural, Mrs. Ice Khadijah. The Honorable Chairman of Indonesia Creative Cities Network, Mr. Vicky Satari, and the Honorable G20, G20 Sherpa, Mr. Edi Priyo Pambudi, and of course, all the speakers that you already presented before, and all distinguished ladies and gentlemen. And first of all, I would like to let me introduce myself. My name is Setiawan Wangsatmadja, that already introduced by the host. I am the Regional Secretary of West Java and U20 COSERVA Indonesia G20 Presidency. And please allow me to convey a warm greeting to all attendees. I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude and high appreciation to the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, or UNESCO Cities Platform, teams, and the Indonesia Creative Cities Network, ICCN teams, who organized this remarkable event. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and its consequences compounded by the climate crisis, growing global inequalities, geopolitical instability, and the rise of disruptive technology are causing some crisis in food, energy, and society, which result in acute challenges in cities, especially in the global south. In this context, it is important that cities, national government, and all urban stakeholders remain focused on delivering collaborative our global goals, achieving the 2030 agendas and the new urban agendas, advancing to the localization of the SDGs and the rapid implementation of the Paris Agreement. Through our close cooperation, we can achieve a just economic recovery that respect planetary boundaries, ends inequalities and the pandemic, and address the climate crisis effectively. This is essential to improve international stability and security, which are the cornerstone of the economic and social development and the vibrancy of our cities. The honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, under the leadership of Jakarta and West Java, as the 2022 Urban Co-Chair and the priority to the Recover Together and Recover Stronger, we have exchanged best practices and discussed solutions to achieve a sustainable economic and social recovery for all, including productive and affordable housing, renewable energy transition, equal access to sustainable mobility, mental health, and pandemic resiliency. To the future and the future of work and the important role of culture as an engine of sustainable development. Esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, afterwards, we appeal to the G20 meeting in Bali on November 15 to 16, 2022, to promote world peace and global development, to work with cities toward a mutually desirable post-pandemic future by taking concrete action in 3 priority areas where the public investment and direct funding for the cities can have a greatest impact towards an inclusive economic recovery, addressing the climate crisis, fostering social cohesion, and addressing inequality. Subsequently, we call on the G20 to 3 major agenda. First, invest in health and housing as a cornerstone to an economic and social recovery for all, with the issues to concerns such as health system resilience, mental health, social protection and cohesion, sustainable and affordable housing, and urban regeneration land use. Second, foster a sustainable energy transition and equal access to sustainable mobility. With the details of consideration, there is fossil fuel phase out, financing the renewable energy transition, reducing barriers to energy transition, undertaking social campaign to raise awareness and understanding, and enforcing sustainable mobility. And the third, provide education, training on the future of work to give all people equitable access to the job market. The points of concern are inclusive job opportunities, workers' holistic well-being, sustainable jobs, enhancing micro, small, and medium enterprises productivity, and digitalization of harnessing innovation. Therefore, this beyond urban event could be catalysator and strengthen for the communique and also U20 working groups, because this remarkable event represents best practices from all over the world. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, finally, the mayor and the government of U20 stand ready to work hand in hand with G20 government as we emerge from the COVID-19 crisis. We look forward to synergizing our vision, bolstering commitment to recover together and recover stronger, and to realize our shared vision of creating green, just, equitable, and sustainable post-pandemic cities under the leadership of Indonesia's G20 presidency. I would like to end my words by congratulating and wishing you all the success, and I officially close this Beyond Urban program event for day 1. Thank you very much. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Very well, thank you Mr. Setiawan Wangsaatmadja. Once again, thank you very much. Terima kasih banyak for following all of the sessions on this first day of Beyond Urban Road to G20 Summit. We are going to continue these remarkable plenaries to its second day tomorrow on Friday, 29th of July 2022, with the plenary 3, Digital Transformation, and the plenary 4, Sustainable Energy Transition. Hope to see you again tomorrow. Still on the Beyond Urban Road to G20 Summit 2022.
Indonesia is a great country. We are blessed with strong people. Our communities are eminent. Our networks perform the creation concretely. Indonesia Creative Cities Network is here to acknowledge the challenges for materializing progressive and fair Indonesia. Hand in hand, we unify our spirit and determination from more than 200 creative cities communities throughout the country. We are striving for excellence, empowering each other, and waving the diversity to raise the creative ecosystem that lives and enlivens. Embodying compassionate cities that celebrate the diversity in one strong movement, a creative collaboration for our nation.
Hi, I'm Tita, focal point of Bandung City of Design, and this is Indonesia Creative Cities Network team. Together with UNESCO Cities Platform, we are going to hold the Beyond Urban online conference. Looking forward to see you there. See you.
Beyond Urban, a side event in the framework of U20 2022 Road to G20 Summit, a collaboration between UNESCO Cities Platform and Indonesia Creative Cities Network. Creative Cities Network is a hub organization that connects creative communities and initiatives in more than 220 cities and regencies in Indonesia. All ICCN members are committed to implement the 10 principles of Indonesia Creative Cities and the creative economy ecosystem as ICCN frameworks that comply with the Sustainable Development Goal. On UNESCO's celebration of World Cities Day 2021, the UCP launched the Urban Solutions, Adapting Cities for Climate Resilient, with a reflection on the G20 Priorities 2022, Global Health Architecture, Digital Transformation, and Sustainable Energy Transition. UCP and ICCN have developed a new series of urban solutions. Please join us in this 2 days online event that brings the local dimension and cities' contribution to the International Development Forum and agendas. Road to G20, Beyond Urban, on the 28th and 29th of July 2022.